You'll know when you have a wild woman. She'll practice her craft without boundaries. She is truly autonomous. Her loyalty is only to the family she serves, a midwife who will not allow herself to be held back by a system she didn't create.
This podcast is for the birth keepers who want to grow and change. We are open to learning through self-reflection and supportive community. We are creating this space to explore without judgment. We are remembering we were
Born wild. Hello and welcome back to the Born Wild podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sophia, and today you get to listen to Annika's birth story, and we talk about so many different topics. We talk about IVF, twins, IUI, hospital birth, IUGR, cesarean, third degree, fourth degree tears, spirit babies, thrush, medical medium, fundal height discrepancy, preterm birth, NICU, COVID, hip dysplasia, eczema, VBACs, prolonged labor, intuition and trauma, and hypnobirthing. Enjoy. Good morning, Annika. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Sophia. I'm good.
I love how festive everything looks behind you with the pumpkin and your little sweater. And isn't it going to be 90 later today, or like 80, I think, at least?
Oh, I'm not ready for it.
The cold
I like the cool.
I just saw somebody post, like, welcome to California's fall. Like, I hope you brought a sweater and flip-flops and a bathing suit and a parka and something like that.
Just bring everything.
Yeah, wear layers.
Definitely.
Well, yay, I'm excited to talk about your birth experiences. You have run through all of them, it feels like.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into your home birth, let's talk briefly about your other births, because this was not your first birth. So will you start wherever your story starts for you?
Yeah, totally. So I can start with like the conceiving of my twins, which were my first birth. If you see me going like this, it's because I live on a ranch and we have a lot of flies, and my kids left our doors open, so we have a lot of flies in the house. So forgive me.
No worries.
Okay. So I had to do IVF to get pregnant with our twins. We tried to conceive for about a year. And we started with IUIs, and then we started using medicated cycles, IUIs, and none of it was working. So we moved on to IVF. For me, it was really uncomfortable because I never really felt good with putting more drugs in my system than I needed. And I've always been really sensitive to that kind of stuff. So our first two cycles failed, a fresh cycle and a frozen cycle. And on our final attempt, my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, okay, this is it. Like, I don't think we emotionally can withstand this anymore. And we're just going to give it one last shot. And I asked the doctors to lower the drugs. We did like the cheapest cycle possible because I knew my body needed less. And we just were going to kind of wing it. And the eggs, once they took the eggs outside of me and they fertilized them, usually they will transfer them at 5 days. My eggs, I knew needed to be like right back in me as soon as they possibly could. So it took 3 days. So they put all the eggs back in me, and then 2 stuck. And I had a really high risk, complicated twin pregnancy. They told me the whole time that one of our twins was going to die. And it
Can I
led
pause
to
you
like,
for a minute? When you said that you just like knew you needed less and you knew your eggs need to be back into, was that like an intuitive thing, or like why? Yeah.
Yeah. It was so intuitive to me. It was like, why would my babies want to be outside of me? It didn't make sense. It was like, of course they don't want to be in a petri dish. They want to be back in mom. Like, that's where they're going to be most successful. So I talked with the doctors and I was like, that's what we need to do. Like, they need to be back inside me, because they just were not surviving in the petri dish. It just wasn't happening. So we had the success when they came back inside of me, and we put 3 eggs in and 2 of them stuck. So it was definitely the right thing to do.
Well, thank you for clarifying. Okay, continue.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So yeah, we just had a really traumatizing twin pregnancy. I was in and out of the hospital. I had to go in like twice a week. My daughter was diagnosed with IUGR, intrauterine growth restriction. And she essentially was growing at a very slow rate. and was falling behind each week. And by the time she was born, she was 5 weeks behind schedule. So when I did go into labor, I went into labor naturally at 33 weeks and 2 days. But because my daughter had so many complications, her fluid levels had actually gone down so low that they had kept me in check almost every day. I was driving about 45 minutes to get a check to make sure that she was still alive and able to breathe the fluid. And as long as she had a little bit of fluid, we knew her lung development was going to be okay. And so my son was baby A, and he actually like kicked me into labor, and I could feel his feet just doing the work. And when I was in the hospital, they tried to keep me from going into full on labor as long as possible. I ended up being in the hospital for 10 days. And then when I was in full on labor, I actually didn't know it because I was in so much pain from the twin pregnancy as it was, that we called a nurse in, and she was like, oh, you're 10 centimeters dilated. Like, you need to go in right now to have a C-section. And I'm like, oh, that's what this is all about. Cause I kept like pooping, and I felt, a little bit of pressure, but not pain. I didn't feel any pain. And she was like, and my husband wasn't there. Of course, he was at work, and I was 45 minutes away from him. My mom was with me. And so it was the first flooded day in winter. So I was trying not to like cause any alarm in him. So I would call him like, hey, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm picking up pizza. I'm like, okay, great. We should probably come down soon. So we'll see you soon, right? And he's like, yeah. And like an hour and 15 minutes later, I finally called him, was like, all right, I'm going into the room right now, and we're going to have a C-section. And he was like, what? And so he like parked in the doctor's parking lot, flew in, made it literally just in the nick of time, got his gown on and everything. And then, I had the babies within like an hour and a half after they said that I need an emergency C-section. And they took, my son Donald came out, and he came out crying. He was 4 pounds, 12 ounces, but my daughter Clancy, she came out, and they actually had to resuscitate her. So it took, what felt like 5 years for her to cry. And I'm laying on the table going, just cry, just cry, just cry. This is the moment I've been waiting for 6 months. And she came out, and then she finally cried. And then they were just going to whisk them away without me seeing them. And my husband's like, well, can mom just see them really quickly? And so they quickly did this to my face with both my babies. I was like, okay. And then I went from a room of about 20 doctors and nurses to having 3. And my husband went with the babies to the NICU, and I was left there all by myself to get stitched up. It was like crickets. And they looked at me, they're like, do you want me to get your mom? Like, yes, please.
Oh, I'm so glad somebody thought of that.
I know. Like, I have no idea how my babies are doing. I don't know what's going on. I'm just by myself now getting stitched up. It was like the peak of excitement. And then literally just everything fell. And all of a sudden it was like nothing. It was very interesting experience.
Like a dream.
It was like a dream. So then my babies were in the NICU. Clancy, my daughter, her feet were actually, when she was born, were at her face because the sac had tightened so much around her body. Her fluid levels had gone down so low that her legs had started growing up to her face. So this was her comfortable position, where her feet at her face. And her knees were both dislocated. She had hip dysplasia in both hips. So she had to have little splints made. And then they had to put her in a harness, but she was so small, she was 3 pounds, 1 ounce, that nothing actually fit her properly. So everything was custom until about 10 days. And then at 10 days, we transferred from San Francisco to Santa Rosa, and she was able to be fitted for a harness. And then she was harnessed and braced and casted and had surgery the first like 14 months of her life. She was essentially stuck inside something so that her hips would grow properly. Her knees went back to normal, thank goodness. Wow. On their own. Yeah. So we had a really interesting first year. And then when the twins were 6 months, I actually got pregnant naturally. And we shortly introduced another baby to our circus.
Wow. So 6 months you got pregnant. How old were the twins when your baby was born?
When Ruby was born, we had another daughter. They were 14 months.
14 months. So like you were
Mhm.
just ending everything with your daughter, like
Pregnancy.
all of her. Yeah. Wow. That's wild. Yeah. To
Yeah,
go through all
it
that
was.
and be pregnant and have another baby.
Yeah, and for me to like learn how to be a mom in that circumstance was so it was like surreal, and it was such a wild ride that I almost couldn't get my feet underneath me. It was like almost every day something new was changing or something was happening to where I felt like I was just like in an ocean. I was just riding the wave. Like, okay, as long as I have everything around me, I'm okay.
Yeah, just
And we will
surviving.
survive.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it was. It was survival for sure, 14 months.
Mhm.
And then my labor with Ruby,
I
I
have
was
a
able to have a,
question about the like hip
oh
dysplasia,
yeah,
the braces and all that, because I'm sure there's moms out there who are, going to be facing this diagnosis. And
yeah.
is there any tips or advice you have for anyone? I can imagine that would make caring for a newborn more challenging, to have all those braces and things to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Is there anything that like
Mhm.
information to pass on that really made a difference for you and wish you had known, either regarding that or regarding twins?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, regarding the hip dysplasia, the only thing I can say is that it doesn't last forever and that babies are extremely resilient. And our daughter, this this was her life's journey. The way that she was supposed to come into this world was exactly the way that it did. And she is very, very strong-willed and determined and extremely tenacious. So none of this held her back. And she is a very strong, mighty little girl now to this day. She's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
So I can say just honor this as their journey and you will be okay. Like this is really hard as a mom and dad. I totally understand this is not the ideal situation for your child to come into this world. I never thought was how I was going to be a mom, but this is how I became a mom, and it made me really, really strong because of it, and also taught me early how to advocate for my children, and
Mhm.
especially in the medical system.
Yeah, yeah, that is a skill. Was there any struggle with like diaper changes with the braces, or were you
Mhm.
able to baby wear, or like any? Those are the two things that pop into my head that seem like they would be challenging.
So I didn't get to wear her very much as I would have liked to have. I did learn how to do like a carry in the Moby wrap with her, but because she had a twin, it was really hard to accommodate both of them.
Mhm.
So a double stroller was the deal for me. We went everywhere too. I got out of the house as much as possible with them. So
Mhm.
I just took my double stroller and then sat her up on pillows and blankets, and be prepared for the questions because people are going to ask you all about what's going on. And we've always been an open book when it came to like the twins, our fertility journey, and with her hip dysplasia, because like you said, some parents might experience this and there's no reason to feel shame. Like there's no reason. And I wish that we had someone to connect to that we knew that had gone through this experience so that we knew we weren't alone. And
Mhm.
that this is, this happens and it is what it is and you move through it and it's okay. Just keep a positive mindset for no one else, your baby.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then so Ruby decided that she was
Yeah. So
ready to join the party.
Ruby came in, she joined our party. Like, she didn't miss a beat, that girl. I swear she was supposed to be one of their like triplets. She just didn't quite make it in on time.
Mm,
And I went in, everything was super normal with her. My pregnancy was very, very easy. I, at this point, was so burnt out of going to doctors that I think I went once with her. It's like, okay, that's good. She's alive. Bye.
yeah. Oh, I
And
forgot.
then
I'm gonna pause your story because I meant to ask you. Um, were you able to breastfeed the twins, or what was
good
that situation?
question.
Yeah.
No, so with the twins, I exclusively pumped for the
Wow.
first 6 months. And it was like my full time, I mean, more than full time, right? More than full time job
Mhm.
because I was pumping every 3 hours for 6 months straight.
Wow.
And by 6 months, I hit an adrenal fatigue wall. And I was like, I looked at my husband, I can't do this anymore. Like, there's literally no more life to give.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's okay. You did really, really good. I'm like, okay, thank you. That's just like all I needed.
Yeah.
So then they went on formula, and I used a European brand, Holly, because I found that it was one of the cleaner versions. And we did formula for about 18 months.
Okay, great. I just wanted to touch on that piece.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was an important piece.
Okay. Okay, Ruby, you like barely saw anyone. You were like, baby's alive, get me out of here.
Baby's alive. I just like never went to the doctors again, essentially. And then I went into labor, and I'm learning this about myself as I've gone through a couple natural births now, that I'm a very slow laborer. And I didn't know this at the time because I wasn't able to really experience the full labor process with the twins. But with Ruby, I was in labor for 48 hours before I actually gave birth, and they broke my water sac too. So I was in the hospital, and the first 12 hours are like, we might not admit you. You might have to go home. And I'm like, no. I drove all the way here. We're doing this. They're like, okay, do you want us to break your waters? Yes. And so they did. And then she arrived shortly after. It was about 12 hours later that I gave birth to her. It was a very restricted labor in the hospital, giving birth to with a VBAC, and having just had a C-section 14 months ago. They have like every monitor on me. I wasn't able to walk around the hospital. I couldn't get off the bed. They wouldn't let me get in the shower. And I just felt like stuck in this one position the whole time because they were freaking out about how a baby was. And I'm like, I know my body. I know my baby. I know she's okay. Like, she's really, really okay. She's been super chill and mellow and healthy through this whole pregnancy. She's going to make it through this labor. And because I was laboring slowly, they were really concerned that her heart rate was going to dip. And so they were monitoring her heart rate the whole time. The irony was that her heart rate was better than mine the whole time. Like, she was stable the entire time. And so I think I pushed for 3 hours with her. And then on the third hour, it was like, I was so tired. I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. I hadn't slept for 48 hours, and I just had nothing else to give. And so finally I was laying on my back, and my whole team was behind me, like pushing me up, helping me get her out. And then finally she came out. I was just like, oh God, I can't believe I just did that. It took forever. And I literally thought I was going to walk out of here with her just halfway out. I had come to terms with that. I was like, she's just not going to come out, and she's just going to be halfway out of me, and she's going to be like a grown adult. And that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that at this point. That's cool.
The irrational thinking.
Exactly. I have to calm myself down somehow. Like, there has to be some sort of end, right?
Yeah.
And then we did I think we did the vitamin K shot, and I refused some of the vaccinations, and they did the whole like bottom slapping thing, and then they gave her to me, and we did skin to skin, and then they did the whole weight thing after that.
Her bottom.
Yeah, they like gave her a little like, yeah, it was very traditional.
I've never even seen that ever. Like,
yeah, I thought it was a little odd.
Wow.
But yeah, and then they took her weight, and then they did the vitamin K, and all of that process, to me, it would just, the whole thing felt really wrong to me. I was like, this is not how it's meant to be. This doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't feel right. Like, my body didn't react well to laboring in one position. I tore so badly. I almost had a level 4 tear, which meant that I almost tore all the way through my anus, because it was so pushed and forced. It wasn't natural at all. And I actually ended up being on the doctor's table for another hour after giving birth just to get stitched up. Like, she couldn't even tell me how many stitches she put in me.
Last count.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah. So after that, after I gave birth, I told them, I was like, I want to go home. They're like, well, you have to be here for 24 hours. I was like, okay. So like on the 22nd hour, I want all my paperwork done because I'm leaving. And they're like, okay, sure. And I kept pestering. I was like, I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to get out of here. And they're like, are you sure? Yes. I want to go home. And at night, you know, it doesn't feel natural because you're not allowed to sleep with your baby either. And so they kept her in this plastic little box, and she was freezing cold because they kept her in the corner that was like closest to an exterior wall, and she was freezing cold. So they had to actually wrap her up in 5 of their hospital blankets for her to keep warm, which obviously babies can't keep their own temperature. And so they need mama's warmth. And that just killed me. I'm like, okay, I just won't sleep. I'll just hold her to keep her warm.
Yeah, I will stay awake
and
for
then finally
22 hours and then I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not like I've had any sleep anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So we brought her home.
It's so horrible. I was at UCSF when somebody actually was holding her baby, and because she was, you know, so in my words, abused, and in her words, you know, abused during labor, like she was just so out of it, and the medication and everything.
Exactly.
She did fall asleep holding her baby, and she did drop her baby. And because we were talking to her husband, or I think my husband was talking to her husband in the waiting room at some point, and he had, you know, shared it with him. And I remember being like, this is why they make those rules, you know, just because like you're not at home in your bed where you aren't influenced by these things, you know, these drugs and, you know, some of the things that they push moms to. And yeah, it's unfortunate. And you're always like, oh, it's a rule for a reason because something must have happened, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't want to be held liable, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still, I remember because my son went to the hospital a lot his first year. And I remember I ended up just ignoring their requests to put him back in the bed. And I was like, no, I'm not going to.
Sure, I'll do it in a minute.
Yeah. And I was like, no, we just need to go. I was like, they just stayed out of the room because they didn't want to get in trouble for knowing what I was doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
So were you able to breastfeed Ruby?
Yeah, so my breastfeeding adventure with Ruby was amazing. She came out, she started eating right away. It always takes me a good 3 days, like exactly 3 days for my milk to come in. So it made its entrance and arrival, and she basically didn't stop breastfeeding for the first 6 months of her life. I have photos of myself with her in the carrier breastfeeding like everywhere. We were just breastfeeding all the time. She got huge, so huge.
She's like, I'm behind my triplets, you know, like we're triplets and I really need to catch up.
Exactly. I have places to be.
When did your milk come in with the twins? Was it 3 days too?
Yeah, it took 3 days. It's always 3 days.
That's amazing because 3 days is pretty typical, but for C-sections, especially, you know, if you're on the earlier side, it can take longer. So that's cool that it came in.
Yeah. It was really cool. They told me, they were like, wow, your milk production is amazing. I'm like, thank you. I'm also very determined. I literally took it on as a full-time job for pumping.
We wonder where your kids get it from.
Yeah, right. Totally. It's no question.
Do you have any memory about the placentas from any of the births?
So I saw the twins placentas, and Donald's looked normal, good size. Clancy, her cord was not twisted at all. It was actually white and floppy. And then inside of her placenta, it looked like a pizza. And so there were white spots in it. And I remember asking you what that was. It's like calcification, right?
Yeah. Oh God, I'm going to mispronounce it. Infarcts, something like that, where it's basically that piece has died. and isn't, contributing to the growth of the baby anymore. And it's, we see it sometimes. Usually it's like more of a speckling and like a texture thing we can feel on placentas that are aged. But every once in a while you'll see like a little patch thing and we're like, woo, that's interesting. And it's an issue if, there's too much of the placenta that isn't functioning, obviously.
Yeah.
Which explains her growth.
It explained it so much. I told them they were actually wheeling everything away as I was getting done being stitched up, and they were rolling my bed out. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I want to see that.
I grew it. So bring it back.
Yeah, right. Like I'm not done with it yet. And so they came back and had it in a container for me, and they let me see it. And thank goodness, I'm glad that I was able to see Clancy's, because I was so curious as to what was going on with her growth. So my answers were all right there in the placenta and the cord. It was like, okay, yeah, that's what was going on.
Yeah. And then Ruby,
it was time.
Did it come out?
Ruby's
typical time.
Ruby's was big and healthy. Yeah. And it came out right after I gave birth to her. I think at that point I was just so torn open that the placenta just like came right out. Yeah. I didn't feel it really. There was no discomfort. I don't even remember really waiting for it.
Yeah. Okay.
It came out rather quickly. Yeah.
Cool. And then coming to the present time, kind of. I guess it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But the most current pregnancy you had. How did that come up? Like, how old were the kids? Was it a conscious conception? Was she a surprise too? How did that all happen?
So we had talked about having 4 kids for a long time. I had thought about it though for 3 years before I decided that this was the right fit for us. After having such a chaotic first 14 months of motherhood, it was like, I need some time to just chill and marinate on this. I may or may not want another one. And then as it got closer to conception date, I kept feeling her around me, like her little spirit. And then it got stronger and stronger. And I was like, ooh, I think I need to make this decision before someone else makes it for me, her. And like, maybe I'll have some control over the timing of when this all is going to go down. So we started having unprotected sex, and then boom, I got pregnant. It was like literally the first time. And I got kind of shocked a little bit. We went camping, and when we were camping, we did a 7-mile hike, and I had Ruby on my front, Clancy on my back, and we were doing a 7-mile hike. So it was like up in these like really scorching hills in Northern California. I'm like, God, why am I so tired? Because at the time I was training for a half marathon. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why I'm feeling tired. I should not be feeling this way. And then afterwards, like, oh, I think I was due for my period. I think I might be pregnant. And then I got home and took a pregnancy test, and I was like, makes sense. Yep. I'm pregnant.
You know what surprises me even more than that is that you planned a camping trip when you were supposed to have your period. Who does that?
I know, right? my family planned it before me.
Yeah, you're like, let me make sure it lines up with my moon cycle.
Yeah, exactly. This all needs to be right here.
Yeah. Do you remember how soon your cycles returned after? I mean, obviously it didn't return, or it returned just long enough for Ruby to join. Or did it return sooner because you were pumping and not nursing?
No. So as soon as I stopped pumping, it was within the first week I got my period, and that was when I got pregnant.
Okay, so you had one period and then you got pregnant with her.
Yeah.
And how soon did your cycle return after Ruby's pregnancy?
After Ruby breastfed for 14 months, and it was again about a week after she stopped breastfeeding, I got my period again.
All right, so you can just feel this.
Yeah. I'm a really good baby maker. I'm super fertile, apparently.
Oh, okay. So boom, you find out you're pregnant. Now what?
Yeah. So I'm pregnant. I told my husband, I'm like, he took the little pregnancy stick, and I'm like, so your wish has come true. And he's like, yay, I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, good. I am too, I think. And it like took some convincing. I was like, this is going to be a good thing. It's a good thing. It's going to be different than, your other pregnancies and births. And right off the get-go, I can say that this pregnancy was totally different because I was plant-based this pregnancy. When I gave birth to Ruby, 2 days into it, I got thrush, and it was just so awful. And then after that, I started flaring from eczema, and that pushed me into finding any sort of healing that would help me with these symptoms. And so I found medical medium, and I started practicing his protocols, and I introduced the celery juice right away. And for the first year of Ruby's life, I was doing the medical medium protocols and introducing them into my lifestyle. So it looked like medical medium protocols are no inflammatory foods, basically, and foods that you don't eat any foods that will fuel viruses. And those foods are like dairy, gluten, eggs, soy, corn, canola oil, and then you don't do farmed fish. I've chosen not to eat meat because for me, my cleansing is extremely important, and fat will slow the cleansing process down. I've also never been extremely drawn to meat. I've always really liked salads. My husband and I joke about that, but it's real. I really love salads and vegetables. And I don't do caffeine. So going through the whole IVF process, that really helped me get off of caffeine too, because what they were telling me to get pregnant and everything that I read was treat your body as if you're already pregnant. Oops, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Was treat your body as if you're already pregnant. And so I took out everything, alcohol, caffeine, and I still don't do any of it. And I feel much better not doing it. So now living these protocols, and I was at the time 2 years into it of cleansing and helping getting my body back on track. I had the most amazing pregnancy ever. It was just so easy, and my body felt great. Like the first trimester, I did have some of that like queasiness. I felt a little hungover and tired. But the second trimester, I felt like superwoman again, and I literally forgot I was pregnant. I would be on the floor playing with my kids, and my belly would get stuck on things. Like I'd be trying to climb through a fort, and I'd be like, oh, that's right, I'm pregnant. Like I literally forget that I'm pregnant because I feel so good. And then third trimester came, and my inflammation was minimal, or if not none. There was no inflammation at all. It was just very normal, and I just had this beautiful belly, and I had gained the appropriate weight for my body and what it needed. But I still had a lot of energy. I still felt really, really good, and I didn't feel totally like bogged down and just like I couldn't do this. I totally felt capable of taking care of the kids and moving on with life, doing all the normal life stuff, and also following these protocols. So that means a lot of food prep. It's a lot more work, but for me, it has paid off in dividends.
Yeah. And so did your whole family end up eating this way because you're the one that does most of the cooking, or what was that like for your family?
The transition was really hard, especially for my husband, because we live on a dairy and that's what his family does. And so it's still been a little bit of a tough pill to swallow for him. But my daughter Clancy, who had the hip dysplasia, is also extremely sensitive. No surprise there. And so we didn't know it. And I wish I feel so guilty now, but we gave her formula in the first year. She was having such horrible allergic reactions that she had chronic ear infections that would bubble up and be pussy. She had diaper rash that was bloody, and she still has scarring around that area because it was so severe. She had dark circles, she had rashes. I mean, her body talks and shows you what's going on, as long as you listen and you understand what it's trying to tell you. Now I have her down. I'm like, oh, did someone feed you dairy? Did you have a treat that wasn't supposed to be, kind of thing? Because I can see it.
Care providers, were you reaching out to care providers? Were you trying?
I was working with a pediatrician, and the pediatrician was like, maybe we should take out dairy because that's like a first inflammatory that they would remove from the diet. As soon as we did that, it was a game changer. So we started putting her on almond milk at I think she was probably Yeah, around 18 months is when I started figuring it out. So I pulled her completely off of formula and then started giving her the almond milk, and the diaper rash actually went away completely. And we have not looked back, thank goodness. Still to this day though, if she has something that has dairy in it, she'll get diaper rash again. And she's potty trained. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we learned all the inflammatory foods through medical medium, and then I started applying that for her. And then just because she was doing it, I'm like, well, this is a healthier way to live anyways, and this is like a foundational life choice. Oh, baby's crying, 1 second.
Oh, no worries. I'll pause.
Perfect. Yeah, so I decided to do it with just apply it with all the kids, because inflammation is not a good thing and you don't want it to have it in your body. And then also what I was trying to do is detox from heavy metals as well. So I knew that if I had heavy metals in my system from from having eczema and understanding what eczema stems from, I knew that my kids had it too. Ruby was born with eczema on her cheek, and so I knew that she needed some detoxing as well. Oops, dropped the earplug.
Okay. So yeah, because I know that was a big part of your whole journey when I met you. I guess one question I have is, when did home birth even pop into your mind? Oh, I can't hear you now. We'll pause till we figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. So I wanted to find out, when did home birth become like a thought in your mind for this pregnancy?
Good question. I think it all had to do with the COVID stuff. The idea of another hospital birth was like daunting after my labor with Ruby, because it was just so uncomfortable and forced. And then having to do that with a mask on and limited help and support in the hospital, I was like, yeah, that's just going to be a no for me. Like just absolutely not. So I had to convince my husband that it was a good thing and that he was on board too.
How'd that go?
As Sophia knows, he grilled Sophia so hard, God bless her, and I'm so glad she stuck around, because he was like really terrified that something was awful was going to happen to me at home, and then we didn't have the tools that we needed, and we were too far away from a hospital. We're on the outskirts of Petaluma, so we're about 30 minutes away from the hospital. And he was worried something was going to happen to the baby. Of course, we have some trauma from our previous baby, so he's thinking of the absolute worst.
Yeah.
But I just had to continue to convince him it was going to be good, and then allow him to have conversations and ask you the hard questions. And you handled it so well and with so much grace. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I could just see behind it all was fear, like that was the bottom line, is that he was just really scared that, if what would happen if he lost you, or, the baby, of course, but I think most importantly, that was his big thing, and but I remember going home to my husband and be like, I think I got interrogated today. I was like, I'm not sure if that was an interview or not. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this.
How is this going to go? Oh my
gosh. But because I've had hesitant dads and like not sure and, things like that. But I remember saying to you, like, if he can't get on board, it might not be even safe to have him, like, because of his fears so strong that it could be dangerous, to have somebody that fearful present. And luckily that wasn't the case. But I remember saying that, because I've talked to women about that before, but usually it's like a mother or their sister, somebody who has this big fear, and it's somebody who's easier to like uninvite to the birth, but like but like your husband, like, but I remember you just kept going, I'm having this baby at home.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, talk about your intuition again. I was like, I'm sorry, but this is what's happening. Like, I already know this is what's going to happen. So you're going to have to get on board. So we talked a lot about it, and then him just getting more comfortable with the idea. He just had to really like put some thought into it and imagine what that would look like. Even still, he had no idea what it would look like, but having you there.
He talked to a friend that had a home birth, right?
Yes, that helped tremendously too. Oh my gosh. yeah, he called up a really good friend of his and he said, "Oh yeah, we've done home births for almost all of our kids and it was like the most amazing thing ever. You don't have to leave your house and you don't have to be at the hospital. It's like it's great." And so my husband's like, "Okay, maybe this will be okay."
Yeah.
And then we found out the day that we gave birth that you were actually at one of those labors. You attended that labor, and they were like, "Sophia's the best. We love her."
I know when you told me their names, I was like, oh my gosh, I was at their birth.
And now Sophia's like a member of our family. We just adore her, and my husband really does too.
Yeah. It's really spiritual. Yeah. Okay, so anything else to note? I think we were into the third trimester and how you were feeling. Was there anything else in your pregnancy that you wanted to mention before we go into your labor?
I will say that she was the squirmiest of all of my babies. She is constantly on the go, like even still to this day. Everybody's talking about how squirmy and wormy she is. And even inside of me, she was this squirmy all the time. Like this girl had so much energy since conception. So I was like, okay, I think that there's something to this like plant-based diet too, just connecting with her and seeing how strong her energy was and how much energy she already had in the womb. I was like, I think we're on to something here.
Yeah. There's one thing too that popped into my head is I was trying to bring up your chart right now so I could get it exactly right. But one of the appointments we had, your measurement all of a sudden was measuring way less than it had been. Do you remember that? And do you want to talk about anything and what was going on?
Yeah, sure.
Just because it was a piece of the story especially because Clancy had IUGR.
Yeah, no, I totally remember that appointment. And just a few days prior, I remember looking in the mirror and my belly dropping significantly. And I was like, oh, baby might be coming soon. And I remember feeling the added pressure now so much lower. And so she had moved so much too that her like whole body wasn't in my ribs anymore. It was like she had really just moved down into my pelvis. And then the appointment when you checked me and you said like, oh, you're measuring smaller than, like literally, I think I had gone back 5 weeks or something like that.
I'm going to read it now.
I don't remember what the measurement was, but it was so much significant.
Yeah, I have it down. So at 39 weeks, you were measuring like 37, which is totally normal. And then at 39 and 6, I visited and you were measuring 32. I remember just mentioning it to you and just saying, I just want to check in with you if hearing this sends alarm bells or if it is bringing true, like I've been having this gut feeling that something's not right and this kind of affirms it, or if it's just totally throwing you off and you want like to do some more testing to find out what's going on, or if you just feel solid, like my baby's fine. And without skipping a beat, you were like, my baby's fine. She has huge feet. And I was like, okay, just let me know if that ever changes and we can go from there.
Yeah, it's so true, Sophia. It literally didn't even make me like think twice or like blink an eye or anything. I was like, yeah, of course my belly's smaller. She's moved down, like her whole body isn't in my belly anymore. Like I'm carrying her really low. I feel like I'm already like waddling and it's very uncomfortable. So of course, like yeah.
I think it's a skill that I'm always working on is like how to bring up things outside of range without one causing too much alarm, but without like glossing over something that could be a big deal for somebody and could be concerning for some babies, and encouraging moms to really connect with their intuition because it's always right. And some women struggle to connect to their intuition, and that's fine, and that's what tests are for and all that. If you need outside resources, to tell you everything's okay. But I remember feeling so much relief that you were so in tune with your body, that what it could have looked like if you hadn't been, and you're like, I don't know. Maybe it's not okay. Like maybe we should do more check-ins, like what that could have led to, because just 3 days later you had your baby. But like
Mhm.
if you had gone to the hospital, if you had done some follow-up ultrasounds, like what your story could have looked like, could
Yeah.
have been very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so appreciative that I didn't do those last appointments in the hospital because there's so much fear that they can instill in you.
Mhm.
And I just knew she was going to be totally fine and that she was healthy.
Mhm. Yeah. And she was.
And she
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
She is.
Okay, so take us to your labor. How did that unfold? How did you know you were in labor?
Okay, so I just started having contractions in the middle of the night. So it was probably like 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was on a Thursday. And I remember telling my husband, or no, I didn't even tell my husband. I just labored for the rest of the night. And then in the morning time, I woke up and they were coming every like 4 hours or something like that, 3 to 4 hours. And then I'd fall back asleep. And I told my husband, I was like, hey, just to let you know, I was having contractions last night. He's like, oh my gosh, ring the alarm bells, tell everyone she's in labor. And so I told my mom and I told my best friend and I told my sister. And then he told his family and they're like, oh my gosh, we might have a baby today. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. I continued to labor really, really slowly. It kind of changed throughout the day. And then I labored throughout the following night on Friday night. They were stronger contractions, so it wasn't like the most amazing night's sleep I've ever had, but I was able to sleep through them for the most part, or I'd wake up and then just fall back asleep. I didn't have to like get out of bed or anything. I just like wait them out while I was laying down. And then I'd kind of like meditate to fall back asleep. And they were like, yeah, every 3 hours at night. And then Friday morning, I woke up pretty much the same thing, like every 3 hours. And then maybe it would come close to like every like 30 minutes or every 20 minutes. And then if I'd like sit down and relax, they would slow down. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, well, no baby's coming anytime soon, everyone. Okay. Just, we'll listen to my body and see what ends up happening. And at this point, my mom and my best friend had stayed the night. My sister stayed the night. So it was like this huge ongoing slumber party. And it was like so much fun because I hadn't done something like that with my mom or sister or my best friend for a long time. So I was like, this is great having everyone here. Like I'd wake up in the middle of the night and someone's on the couch. And then Friday night was like real labor. So like every time I'd get a contraction, which was about every 20, 15 minutes, I'd fly out of bed and be like, ooh, ooh. And then I'd like bend over on my bed and I'd like breathe through it and like wait it out. And then I'd go back to sleep. And then I fell back to sleep because I remember talking to you about this too, that it's really important to get your sleep because I didn't with Ruby. And I knew I was like, I really need to prioritize this whole sleep thing. It's really important. And so I woke up in the morning and I was like, okay, things have really shifted. Things are starting to get a little more serious. And I think I texted you in the morning and I was like, this is what's going on, probably at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And then by 8 o'clock, I was like, okay, this is real. This is happening. Things are happening. So I like got in the shower and I had my phone in the bathroom and I was like breathing through contractions because it was starting to get really, really strong. And I like texted you, I was like, okay, you should come now.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got out of the shower, Sophia was already magically here setting up the birth tub.
Yeah.
It was like amazing. I'm like, oh yes. And so I like got out of the bathroom and I had like my whole birth team here and I had already showed up. I was like, okay, guys, this is good. You got it from here. I'm okay.
Now I can let go.
Yeah, exactly. Things can happen. So I actually had Ruby with me because she's super connected to me and mama. And like, she didn't want to leave me, and seeing me in pain like that was really hard for her. She would start screaming every time I go through a contraction, mommy, mommy. I'm like, I'm okay. I just need to breathe. And having her there and screaming at me was making the pain even worse. And so I was doing hypnobirthing and I had my earplugs in. And when I was going through contractions, I was listening to my hypnobirthing and like trying to remain calm so that the pain was very minimal. But when she started screaming at me, I started to get more concerned about her well-being than mine. And I was like, okay, this isn't working. She needs to go. So my other two kids went down to my in-laws' house, which is just about 30 feet away from me.
Mhm.
And then I had my husband, I was like, she has to go. Like, I cannot have her here. It's too painful. I'm too concerned about her well-being over mine. And so he took her back, and she was not cool with leaving me. She was like, I want to stay here for the whole thing. I want to make sure mom's okay. And
Yeah.
he's like, everything's going to be okay. Mommy will be fine,
Mhm.
but you're going to go with grandma. And then luckily it wasn't too much longer until Aveline came. But yeah, so then the labor really kicked in when she left, and I could really focus on myself. And so I was still, the tub was set up for probably like 30 minutes before I was ready to climb in, because I just hadn't felt quite ready yet.
Mhm.
And then after breathing through things, I climbed into the tub, and I remember everybody was kind of out in the kitchen area here, and I was in the bedroom by myself. And I got in the tub, and I was like, literally had a moment of like, my God, I'm in a hot tub in my room. This is like a vacation. Like, no one is in here. And then my husband comes in with a cup of tea, and I was like, shut up. This cannot get any better. And so I have my nettle leaf tea, and I'm like, oh, like the birds are singing. I'm looking out my beautiful window, the trees. I take a step, and I'm like, boom, huge contraction. Baby's like actually moving and coming. And I was like, ah, and I let out like a scream.
I remember that was like the first time I heard you make any sound at all. You were just like so internalized the whole time. And I was like, oh, okay. She's actually in labor. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone came, or everyone rushed in, and I like didn't know what to do with my tea, because I was just floating and letting my belly just like relax, and my back felt so good. And I was like, oh fuck, where did I put my tea? And I like turned around in this horrible like position to put the tea back behind me because there was a stool. And then the real labor started all after that. I was like, oh, okay, now I'm relaxed enough to where baby's gonna really make
Yeah,
her
you
way
probably
in.
had this like surge of oxytocin when you felt like Snow White, it like a princess with all the animals around you and birds tweeting and magical tea, and you probably surged your oxytocin level, and then boom.
It was like a slap in the face, or really the vagina. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Yeah, so then stuff got real, and then I started on my back and just floating. And then at some point I was like, okay, needs to get a little more serious. And then I got into like the froggy position, and then was leaning over the side. And still every single minute I had my hypno meditations in my ear, and I was just following the breathing and like practicing the visualizations of like pain and light, and really just letting go of any control and just allowing it to come through. And I was really just riding the waves of contraction, so that I wasn't fighting it or feeling fearful about it. I was just really welcoming it.
Mhm.
And then when she really started moving down the canal and her head started coming, I remember like the contractions changing to where it was like, might have to push a little bit, but not a lot. And so I would like feel her head move down, and then the next contraction I would push, and then the next contraction I would feel her head just like adjusting down, and then the next contraction I would push. So it wasn't even every contraction that I needed to push, because she started moving down naturally as I felt more comfortable using the hypno meditations. Everything was relaxed down there, and she had the space to move down on her own and let like her and my body do the work without like it being forced at all. And then I felt the last time that like her head needed to come out, was like, she's not like coming, she really like needs a good push. And so then I pushed, and her head came out, and then is it transverse when she's sunny side up?
Posterior.
Posterior. She was posterior, so her head, her little face was out and welcoming everyone. And I remember Emma saying, oh, she's looking at me. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird that her face is that way. And my mom's like, she was thinking the same thing. And so my mom was trying to like reach her head to see if it was properly. And I was like, mom, no, don't touch her. But she was sitting there, and I'll never forget the feeling. It was almost like a puppet on like, one of like on its like head spindle, and her head just kept turning. That she was literally looking around. And I'm like, well, that's a really weird feeling. And then the next surge came, and I just gave a little push, and the rest of her body just came sliding right out. And then I caught her, and we kept her Bertha, her sex a surprise. So when she was born, like the whole time I knew she was a girl, of course, because mother's intuition. But I like pulled her up, and I looked through the legs, and I was like, she's a girl, just like I knew she was.
Do you remember the moment your water broke?
Oh yeah, totally. I was like laying there in my hypnobirthing zone, and then I was like, that was when I was still, my belly was up in the water, and I just felt like this. It was just kind of like a, and it was that was it. I'm like, oh, my water just broke, and I think I said that out loud.
Yeah, you did.
There was such an interesting sensation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. And who missed it?
My husband, he had it in his head. He's like, she's not gonna have this baby until 6 o'clock at night. And so he's like, I'm gonna go out and do some work. Okay, sure. Yeah. So then I had this, like, my husband was outside working. He's probably like 30 minutes away. I think he stopped in to see my kids. My mom said that she could hear him playing down there with our kids too. And then the baby started coming closer, and he's like, oh, just call me when it gets closer. And wherever he was, he didn't have service. So they called him, nothing happened. And so I had this like most amazing, like feminine, divine birth ever. I had like this amazing team of women around me, and they were all sitting on my bed. I had my cousin, my aunt, my mom, my sister. My sister from Germany was on Zoom. And then I had you 3 midwives there. And it was like, I mean, it was literally nothing short of magical. Nothing short of magical. It was absolutely incredible. And then I had my cousin doing long distance Reiki on me. And between the hypnobirthing meditations and her Reiki, I felt like I was just in this amazing long meditation. Like, I didn't recognize how much time had gone by. I had no concept. It felt like very euphoric, and I felt like there was a lot of like light around me, so I knew I was safe, and like all of my guides and my whole team was there to support me and make sure that everything went smoothly and that me and Aveline were safe. And so I was on a complete high after I gave birth to her. I was like, that was absolutely magical. When she came out, I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Because that's exactly what like the whole book that I read about hypnobirthing was like, and everything, like I'd seen a video that you'd shown me of a woman who did this hypnobirth. And I was like, yes, girl, you got it. Now she's in labor. She's like not even screaming. She's totally in the zone on her meditation. And it just went so smoothly. And it was like absolutely beautiful. I'm like, that's what I want for my labor. I don't want it to be like scary and screaming. And like, I want her to come in like the most peaceful way possible. And that's literally exactly how it happened. It was magical.
Oh,
yeah, it was really, really cool.
And what about her placenta? Do you remember that piece?
Yeah, I do. Her placenta, it was just like not wanting to come out on its own. So then I birthed the placenta myself shortly after I gave birth to her. I can't remember how long it was, like a half an hour or something like that.
I know, because I'm looking right at it. I pulled up your chart.
How long was it?
So you were in early labor for 54 hours. And your active labor was about 3 hours.
Okay.
So when you got down to it, you got down to it.
Yeah.
You pushed for almost 2 hours, but like you were saying, it was this like, okay, well now she's not pushing. Oh, but now she is. Oh, but now she's not. You know, this back and forth. And your placenta came out after an hour.
An hour. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I remember you saying like, it's okay if it doesn't come out on its own, you can like help it out. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. So then I like tugged on the cord and then helped the placenta come out. And I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Like, that's okay. We're good.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
How was anything else to note about the immediate postpartum when we were there, or your extended postpartum, or breastfeeding, or just anything?
I mean, it was really amazing after, well, giving birth to her too, with her head being up. I think that helped put pressure on me. So I tore in a similar place to where I tore with my other daughter.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget like laying on the bed and having you guys apply a few stitches. And then the rest of the family was in the living room and the baby was out here like meeting our family. And I was in there and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like they're just not being in this structured environment and it being very, very natural. It was like, this is exactly how it should be. And then you asked me, do you want me to grab the baby? Do you want to breastfeed like while we're stitching? I'm like, actually, that sounds really nice. Yeah, let's do that. So then you grabbed the baby and brought her over and I just breastfed her while you did a few stitches. And then I was just able to like be in my bed. And I'm like, this feels so good. And
Mhm.
then we ordered Mexican food and I ate this like monstrous salad, like huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I ate like like a trough of salad my mom made me. With like beans and rice and just being able to eat that and not eat like hospital food. Or I wasn't even sure how I was going to do it if I did it in a hospital and like do all my own food prepping. Like that would have added so much more pressure to me. But I was able to have like my lemon water and my fruit juices and my teas, and then to help me through the labor, I just had little spoons of honey so that I just had like that maintain the energy. And then I was drinking my lemon water throughout. You were really good about that too, and reminding me to drink and stay hydrated.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that was amazing. And then breastfeeding wise, she did amazing. She just latched right on and she knew what she was supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what about extended postpartum? Anything to note there?
Yeah, I didn't realize how much of a difference it would make if you were to take it easy for the first 2 weeks postpartum.
Mhm.
I never had that opportunity before, and my mom stayed with us for almost 3 weeks, and this was the first time she had done this with one of our births, and so she stayed at our house. She slept in my daughter's room and she helped just helped us with the daily life, helped us with the kids. She helped
And
make
did
our
she
food.
only do it this time because you asked her to, or COVID set it up this way, or like what made the difference?
I think it was just where we were all at in our lives
Mhm.
because my mom, she was in school to be a nurse and then she was working, or she was just out of school being a nurse, and then she was trying to find a job, and then this time she just had the opportunity where she wasn't working and she was able to come over and help me and
Got
had the time.
it. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was like really life changing for me. I was able to heal a lot faster. I stopped bleeding so quickly.
Mhm.
um I still my tearing took a while longer to heal, but just having the support that she gave helped me so much. It gave me the comfort to actually get up in like the 2 weeks after and be like, okay, I can do this. Like she left and I remember going, okay, there's no more help. Like you're going to do this on your own, because my husband works a lot. So it was basically just down to me. I'm like, I can do this. I can handle it. I
Mhm.
did it with Ruby. I did it with the twins. Like, I know I can do it with this one. And I did it. Yeah. And it was totally great. We just all had to get into our groove. And it took a couple weeks for the kids to get used to having someone else in the picture and having mom in the position that I was at, to where I couldn't do everything for them. And
Yeah.
it took a little while to transition. But once we got into the groove of it, and they absolutely just adore her. So that helped a lot too.
Mhm. Can you touch on your thrush and your flare up and
Mm-hmm.
your alternative formula that you ended up giving her?
Yeah, totally. So 3 months postpartum, I experienced like the worst eczema flare up I have ever experienced in my whole life. It was so painful that I had literally one day where I thought about killing myself. I was like, is it worth me staying here on earth and being in this so much pain? And then I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, and I remember thinking this after I had that thought. I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you letting yourself go to that dark place? Like, I was in the bathtub. I'm like, you need to pull yourself out of this. This is ridiculous. Like, it's not okay for you to be thinking thoughts like this. You have 4 children. that need you. You have a husband, you have a family that need you. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can pull myself out of it. So I utilized, it still was on medical medium protocols, but I think that with everything, the circumstances that happen, every time I give birth, something happens. So on the dairy, we always lose employees, which forces my husband outside full time. And then I end up being the full caregiver to our kids. My mom wasn't able to come over every day anymore. So then it fell in my lap. And I thought I had set myself up to where I had a nanny, but then our nanny ended up having to leave too. And part ways with us, so that it all fell into my lap. And I felt like I was like sinking. Like I felt like there was a leak in my boat and I was literally trying to just scoop everything out and nothing was working and I just kept sinking. And so, which I had been in this predicament before. And I think that this feeling was of trauma I had lived before. So I think I was taking on some of that old feeling of trauma too. And being able to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel is what helped pull me through. So I was like, I've done this before. I can get myself out of this. I know I can. So what I ended up doing was cutting corners everywhere I could. I was doing cloth diapers with her. I'm like, okay, don't do cloth diapers anymore. You don't have time to like do the washing and the hanging. Just get some nice organic diapers for her. Okay, cut that down. Make dinner simple. So we had like steamed potatoes and steamed vegetables. And then I would get like a baked chicken for my husband. And that's basically what we ate every night. And with breastfeeding, it ended up being way too painful because it was essentially missing layers of skin. And I was still trying to breastfeed on top of having so much opened skin there that I decided to stop doing that. And medical medium has this amazing alternative plant-based formula substitute, and it's avocado, coconut water, and banana, and it's equal parts avocado and banana. And then you can add spring water or coconut water. For us, what we have noticed is that if we only use spring water, she tends to have constipation. So I'll do make a base of the coconut and banana, and it's about, and then I'll strain it through a nut milk bag, and the consistency is.
Did you mean avocado and banana?
Yeah, sorry, the avocado and banana. And I'll blend that and then strain it through a nut milk bag. And then it will come out to be like the consistency of yogurt or like a Greek yogurt. And that I will use as my base, and I'll keep it in the jar in the fridge. And then I'll fill up her bottle halfway with the base. And then I'll add equal amounts of coconut water to it. And then it will come out to the thickness of basically breast milk. That's you. And she's been doing really, really well in it. She's been drinking that since about 3 months old. And she's been gaining weight and she's reaching all of her milestones. So it's definitely, she's thriving.
Yeah.
Doing really well. Of course, that was really hard for mama not to be able to breastfeed anymore, but I had to make the decision for my health and myself. And then to correct my eczema, I ended up doing 3 back-to-back advanced liver cleanses in his book. And I cut out all salt and all fat. And so cutting out all fat looks like no nuts, seeds, avocados, any additional oils of any kind, and just sticking to fruits and vegetables. And then I was able to pull through, and then also doing a lot of like meditation and making sure that my mindset was in a better place so that I could be overall have a better wellness about me.
Yeah. So proud of you for taking all those steps. Because sometimes you can just get like sucked into what you're already doing that you can't even find a way out of it, you know?
Yeah. I'm really fortunate, and I like really appreciate myself for the fact that I am so determined, and like I'm determined to do things in a holistic way, and I'm determined to like follow through and make sure that I can do it. Like I know that I can do it. And so I just had that mindset of like, I'm going to pull through. I know I can, I've done it before. And like, what's to keep me from doing it again, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm really proud of you, and you should be very proud of yourself.
Oh, thank you, Sophia.
Smile.
Daddy just walked in.
Proud of you. It's not. It wasn't that. Did you say Dad came in?
Daddy just walked in. For just recording.
Well, is there any like last words that you want to say for anyone listening? Anything for anyone who's listening with twins or any of the struggles you went through, or yeah, just last thoughts.
Yeah, I think my greatest advice would be, and I just spoke to another mom who's in a very similar position as I was, who struggled with eczema, who had twins, who's following medical medium, and then also kind of finding herself in this place in life of like, where do I belong? Is to just ease into motherhood, accept it and surrender to it, and try not to fight it. I think that our society forces us women now to fight the mothering instinct, and it's just not the way that we're set up. But the more that you can surrender to it and just allow it, it's like, and give into it, for me, it's become so much easier, and my life has become so much easier. It's like, you don't have to do all these things. You're not supposed to or meant to do all these things. If all you can do is watch your kids for the day, then that's all you can do. And that's okay. Like, you've done a good enough job. If your kids are happy and relatively healthy at the end of the day, you're doing a good job, Mom.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me. And I'm excited for others to hear your story. Oh my gosh, I was taking notes and I kept having to turn the page and turn the page. There were so many topics covered.
Oh. Well, thank you, Sophia, for giving me the opportunity. I love chatting with you. And it was seriously the most magical birth ever.
Oh, as it should be, right?
Exactly. I like truly believe now that every woman should experience this.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you again, and I'll see you in a few months.
Thanks everybody for listening. You can find us at Born Wild Podcast on Instagram. For inquiries or feedback, you can email us at bornwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me, Emma Ray, on Instagram at Emma Ray, REA.
Sophia at sophiabirth.com.
And me, Leah, at Bay Area Home Birth.
We would really appreciate it if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us reach more people. And as always,
Stay wild.